Hi everybody. Well, this is part 2 of something I started. It's April 11th, and I was doing a Q&A, and I ran out of time. So, this is Lynn with Plasma Energy Solution. Thank you for rejoining me, and we'll try and get through the questions I was going through, the questions and answers. So I dropped off in the middle of talking about measuring the fields of the plasma energy station, 16 vials, the fields of the pair of patches that are sent on outside of the country orders, and the fields of very small post-it note size patches. They all measured the same. They were all over 30 feet. And someone who took in a water bottle, like a drinking water bottle, filled with her plasma energy to her chiropractor, the fields measured 36 feet by the method he used to measure them. So, size does not matter. Dr. Paul said that many times, and I've said it many times on the videos. And I do want to say something about all the Q&As I'm getting. I do get around most of the time to answering your questions, but many times I'm answering questions that have been asked before that we have on the FAQs and testimonials on our website. Many of these questions have been covered in blogs, and many of these questions have already been covered in the videos. And we do that so you all have the information. And so I hope you'll take advantage of that. Okay, well, let's see. I didn't go through the whole video to see exactly where I dropped off, so this may be a repeat. Rather than a tripod, can we use a tree as a tripod and center the 3 containers evenly around the tree? Yes, you can hang one of your bottles of your energy water for your gardening in the tree and put 3 containers spread out however you want them. Just remember, your energy fields are 30 feet. Okay, so if you want a really big garden, you can do a really big garden. Now, the other thing, I just want to mention this. There was a series of books called The Ringing Cedars, and there were probably 8 or 9 books in that series. And the main character in them is talking about living harmoniously with the earth and in your environment. And one of the things she was saying was her way to plant things was not in little rows of little soldiers of radishes and little soldiers of garlic and little soldiers of lettuce, but to let them be spread about so they could exchange energies with a variety of other plants. So it's something you might want to look into and just see if you think that's something you want to embrace or not. Okay, and then, do we just use plasma energy station water for the 4 containers, or do we need to add energy pads on them to keep the containers charged? Once you have the water in there, it's the plasma energy station water, and you don't have to keep charging it. It doesn't wear out, okay? So just put it out there and get going with your gardening. I soak plasma or popsicle sticks in plasma station water overnight. I then put them in 4 50-ounce plastic bottles filled with my plasma water, left it there for a few months. My intent was to use the plastic bottles outside the pyramid tripod experiment. Well, I never got a chance to get the tripod and place them all outside. What I did observe is the popsicle sticks appeared to start breaking down. Well, wood is going to do that in water, isn't it? And the bottle sides started to be sucked in a bit. Do you think the plasma energy fields were at work and caused the sides of the bottle to cave in a bit? I don't know. I haven't ever done this experiment in this way, so I can't answer that. But what I would say is, why not go ahead and use those bottles? You've got them all set up. And it's okay if your popsicle sticks are wearing down. Remember, there was a man in the South who lived in kind of a rough neighborhood, and he treated the popsicle sticks and put them around the perimeter of his property, just like I've talked about, whether you're going to spray the tree, the fence post, the rock, whatever. Well, he just buried them knowing that there were 30-foot energy fields with those popsicle sticks. And what he told me later was those that were kind of rough characters that liked to do nefarious deeds on his side of the street never crossed the street again. They did all their nefarious deeds on the other side of the street. And some undesirable neighbors next door moved away. So maybe the environment changed and it wasn't compatible with what their present energy expression was. Okay. And then she was just passing on some information about somebody named Ken Rolla, R-O-H-L-A, and Scalar Energy Products and Pyramids. So maybe that's something some of you would be interested in looking up. Alrighty, and then I had more Q&As from someone else. Here we go. I have many questions about plasma energy. I understand it is real, more real than me perhaps. Well, actually, we are plasma energy, and just think about it. If you're drinking plasma energy water and your body is 60 to 80% water, well, you're plasma energy too. I want to take maximum advantage of my plasma energy station, which is now taped to a 3.5 gallon reservoir. But I also taped the singles that I purchased recently, like the one with the dewormer that's called dewormer, that has been successfully used in treating various things. A big question I heard from Dr. Paul that your body will take only the energies it needs at any moment and will ignore the rest. So no overdosing can happen. For practicality, is it okay to just tape everything to the water reservoir and let the body decide what it wants? Well, first I always say make your individual vials. Take those vials and make your individual things, whether it's healthy gut or anxiety relief or eye formula or whatever, because you always want that standalone source. Once you have that source put together, you can then take a vial of it and add it to your energy station. I have 5 energy stations. I have the very first one Dr. Paul made and the very second one he made. And I have the third one that we made. And then the fourth one is this one, which is actually just something that you could fill with water and take on a picnic or something. And if you look carefully, floating inside is one of the BPA-free plastic vials that I send out in the winter, and it has the plasma energy station water in it. So it's right in here inside. And I like using things with spigots. It's just easier. And the reason I do that is that I place them on the kitchen counter where walking by, I want some water, just open the spigot, get some water, and keep going. So I want to make it really easy to use. And I hope you do too. And I hope your plasma energy is incorporated in your kitchen, your busiest room in your house, and that it's in sight and in mind. Sometimes when you stick these in and out of the way utility room or whatever, they're out of sight and out of mind. So just keep that in mind. I'm just concerned that any vials that were made from certain products, is it okay to combine them with vials made with other things? Like I said, the body's going to use what it needs at any given time. Okay? And then there was one more question. My daughter has had what we thought is a sty in her eye for about 5 months, and it's red and angry. Do you know if anyone has success treating eye styes, and with which remedy? I would suggest that if I had a sty in my eye, I would be using the eye formula. It isn't just for cataracts. And the reason I say that is because I have floaters that used to be like fins and tails swimming across my vision, my field of vision, and now they're just occasional dots. So that would be what I would do if I was trying to take care of a sty in my eye. Okay, then I have another question. Are your patches made with GANS water, meaning the patches contain some GANS, or is it potentized water? Okay. When we put together the vials that we send, those come out of the jars, the original jars. When I do something like this and I have a vial in the bottom of it, that's from the original jar. When we take, okay, here's a good example. I have something like this that looks like pain relief, and it has a vial in it, and the vial was placed in filtered water, and I take this and I spray the Band-Aids that we use on our knees, and they work fine. So I don't know quite where somebody's trying to go with that question. I've seen some inferences on the internet that maybe if it isn't from the original GANS water, it isn't effective. Based on the many testimonials from people, based on our own experience, I would not agree with that. And I know if Dr. Paul were sitting here next to me, he would not agree with that either. Does Clear Mind contain CH3? We're going to address this issue also. The GANS of never-ending plasma energy Clear Mind includes acetyl L-carnitine, acetyl-lipoic acid, acetyl L-carnosine, beta-alanine, betaine HCl, bitartrate, blueberry fruit, B12, camu camu, chihuahuasi, curcumin, CQ10, CBD oil, DMAE, fish oil with omega-3, folic acid, glutathione, HCl, L5-hydroxytryptophan, lipofullerene C60, magnesium, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, nicotinamide riboside, potassium, CO2, and zinc GANS waters. Now, when Dr. Paul wrote up something for me, he did not tell me if he put in 5 minutes of intention or 15 minutes of intention. He did not tell me if he added 2 drops of CH3 or 6 drops of B9 Korean salts. There were some things that he did routinely that he just simply didn't add to what he might have been telling me. And there were some things he did that he considered were proprietary in the way he did things. Now, I'm going to continue with this. Never-ending plasma energy Clear Mind has the plasma energy of amino acids, herbs, minerals, vitamins, and plasma water that could give some relief from brain fog. Next question. Could you also confirm whether a healthy woman has any CH3? The reason for my asking is that according to a recent YouTube video, CH3 should be disposed of, I think they said, in the toilet. I noticed that Plasma Energy Station I ordered from you some time ago has CH3 in it. So unfortunately, I guess I will have to disregard those patches. Here's my answer. And if you see sparks flying out of my ears, I get really impatient with things that contain 90% of the truth and not 100% of the truth. So here's my answer. I hope I only have to answer this once for you. 90% of the truth is not 100% of the truth. As I have said on the blog on the homepage of the website and in recent videos, I do these blogs and videos to help people keep up with information. I hope that you will go research what this virus is. Is it a cover-up for something else? Was Wuhan the first city to put up 10,000 5G towers? If Dr. Paul were here, he would not agree with information being put out about the so-called virus and CH3. If you choose not to use things with several drops of CH3 in them, that is your choice. I choose to use them because I know the efficacy of all the formulas. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Healthy Woman is a GANS combination made of estradiol GANS plus some of the herbs, vitamins, minerals, essential oils, teas, and roots found in Healthy Genes, UTI Batch Relief, Healthy Gut, Healthy Thyroid, Peace, Clear Mind, Cancer, Parasite, and some of Dr. Paul's other special touches. Dr. Paul made some things he did proprietary information. I can assure you that if you are afraid of a few drops of CH3, then you won't want to use any of the above combinations because he might have added a few drops of CH3 just as he added a few drops of B9 Korean salt, GANS. So if you are concerned, you may be canceling out the benefit of 8 or 9 formulas. Or, may I put it this way, of 1,000 energies. There's probably more than 1,000 energies in the things I've just mentioned. With all the CH3 being dumped down toilets around the world, according to the advice that some have followed, is there going to be a fabulous growth of bacteria in the sewers and the sewer plants? Does this exhibit common sense to do this? Or is a small amount of CH3 a very necessary connection between the GANS and the body? What happens when you decide to cut out the connection of the GANS to the body? Are deaths being shown by media around the world the result of a virus in the headlines or of 5G in highly polluted environments interacting with people with toxic bodies constantly on their electronic devices? As I said, you may see sparks coming out of my ears. Now, there's something I'm going to put a link to, and this is an article that came across my desk earlier today. The Microwave Injured Masses, Canary Warnings about FIVEG and a virus. The world pandemic is on the lips and the minds of peoples all around the world. Rumors abound. What is this exactly? What's causing all the problems? This article talks about a 28-year-old man in 2018 who became electrosensitive or microwave injured after years of working in Silicon Valley as a developer for some apps. He was too ill to continue working in the microwave-saturated environment. He quit his job, took refuge at his mother's home in another state the same year, hoping to recover. In January of 2019, he went for a walk around the block with his mother in her neighborhood. As they neared a metal box positioned on a corner lamppost, he experienced intense pressure in his head, seized up with convulsions in his gut, doubled over in pain, and fell to the ground. The following week, on January 8th, he and his mother passed near the same lamppost, and the same thing happened again. What began as a suspicion that the box on the lamppost could really be a container for this new FIVE 5th generation wireless communication technology, and therefore responsible for his symptoms, was confirmed when he received verification from the local cell provider that they had in fact turned on the network. on January 4th, 2019. This is a classic example of canary in the coal mine. Canaries with higher oxygen requirements than other birds and humans were used by miners in the early 1900s to give them warning of decreased oxygen levels in the mines. When a canary stopped singing and most significantly fell off its perch, it served as a warning to the miners to leave the mine at once and avoid potential asphyxiation or carbon monoxide poisoning. Interestingly enough, I live about 15 miles away from a mine that had a huge disaster. They did not have the canary in the cage the day that they had that mining disaster. And there were near 80 miners that died in that disaster. Ultimately, that mine was shut down. So, oxygen deprivation can be a pretty serious thing. This man knew he had to leave the area immediately, and he moved away after his second antenna box episode. Even though moving for him meant living in a tent in a remote wilderness location, he escaped the mine, but his mother stayed where she was. While sympathetic to his plight, she didn't heed the warning and stayed behind. Tragically, she, a non-smoker, developed lung cancer within 6 months of her neighborhood's 5G activation, and at the age of 60, died this past February 2020. The author of this article then gives information about her own situation. It's really a fascinating article. And she said she returned after 30 consecutive hours with Wi-Fi saturated airports and airplanes on a return trip from Bali. She collapsed on her bed, unable to leave it for several days. She began to notice painful electrical sensations similar to electrocution upon holding her phone or standing near others holding similar devices. She experienced severe chest pain when standing within several feet of a Wi-Fi router. She had never been prone to migraines and began to experience chronic 12-hour intense migraine headaches triggered by a neighbor's Wi-Fi router under the floor of her bedroom. Passing cell towers on roadways while driving caused intense crushing sensations in her head as if suddenly placed in a vice, and she had unusual tooth and eye pain. And this goes on. And she says, "Welcome to my world." So she asks the question, is EMF and 5G at the root of this pandemic? And the word corona is translated, well, it is a famous beer, but it's also translated from a foreign word for crown that means glowing ring. Wuhan as the epicenter of what started. Was it a coincidence? It's no surprise to those who are canaries in the 5G world. She gives information on lungs and then there's photographs that she offers. The top one is a healthy lung. The next one is radiation damaged lungs called radiation pneumonitis. And the third one is X-ray of a patient in a city with much of the pandemic. There's been no safety testing of this technology. That's a serious cause for concern. There's a pandemic history starting with the Spanish flu, and this is a really interesting reference to a book that was written, The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. And here's some lesser known facts about Spanish flu. The 1918 flu was not caused by a virus. It was not contagious and did not spread by direct human-to-human contact. It began on military bases where soldiers were being trained in wireless telegraphy. It spread throughout the world on 10,000 U.S. Navy ships equipped with the state-of-the-art wireless stations. It became more deadly in September 1918 when the first around-the-clock voice radio station, powerful enough to be received in most parts of the world, went on air in New Brunswick, New Jersey, in service of the U.S. war effort, launching the modern era of radio communications. And there's some information about a public health study that was conducted showing there was no, when you were exposed to this flu, it was not contagious. Okay? Then there's the viral paradigm and the pandemic of testing. And there's an entire section on that. And throughout this article, for those of you who can only read Cliff Notes, you can't stand to read a lot of information, well, click on the videos and you can watch those. That'll be your Cliff Notes version of doing things. Microwave illness, 5G, flu, and you. And in this article are all of these matching symptoms of all of those, both of those. So I have said in an earlier video that there's going to be the launch of thousands of satellites to support this whole technology that are going to be above us in our atmosphere. And that's thousands of satellites. So this is why we have something called virus relief. This is why virus relief contains the energies of new tech frequency relief in it. It contains the energies of lung support. It contains the energies of life force. It contains the energies of anxiety relief. It contains the energies of cold and flu relief. That's why we did that. And for those of you who have paid attention to the videos we've done on the shungite and the studies on shungite, silver, and the magnets in reversing harmful torsion fields, here's what we use for your breaker box. And no, I don't tell people to put these outside. They're just subject to being removed. So just put them inside on the door of your breaker box. It's got magnets, it'll attach, and it'll be facing into the house. And of course we have our, this is a lapis pendant. Oops, sorry. This is a fluorite pendant. Fluorite and lapis, some of them look very similar. This is a lapis pendant. I'm wearing an amazonite pendant. We have plain pendants, and of course we have the phone magnets, or the magnets that could go on top of your TV, your router, your computer tower, your laptop, whatever. This one just happens to have, it happened to be one that I couldn't get the hole right for a pendant, so this is actually a little lapis pendant that I've attached to the to this cell phone. So please do turn off your electronic devices at night. Everything. Phones, computers, Wi-Fi routers, the whole bit. At least that reduces your exposure, and don't take any of those devices into your bedroom. If they are in your bedroom, shut them off. They're not emitting good